And hopefully the recording will actually start immediately. But if not, then we'll fill for a second. Why not? Because
What's the
the
background?
random screenshot from Skyrim.
Uh, I always like those.
I was like, I need something random for a just chatting backdrop. So I typed in video game landscape, and of course that
Soothing
came up.
background for probably not soothing discussion.
When
Or
have
it
we
could
ever
be.
had a
Who knows?
soothing discussion?
Well, the things we like to discuss, if it's something that we all agree on, it's very we don't really talk about it for very long before we're like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next.
And that's the fact. Jack.
We're all
Whoever
like,
Jack is.
yeah, more or less, yeah, yeah.
Huh. All right then. Well, that's a minute. So surely it's starting by now. So hello, everybody. This is a Dorks just chatting. Today is the 11th of May, 2023.
Oh,
Do you know where your children are?
I know where mine is.
What,
I have a
what happened to
decent
the
idea.
other two though?
One of them is at their grandparents, and the other one is with Chelsea.
Oh, so you do know where they all are.
And then the third one is over here beside me watching Let's Game It Out for
What's
about
that?
3 more minutes.
That
What-
game show? I'm not familiar with that.
It's a YouTube channel.
Ah.
It's a YouTuber who he takes games and then he does bad things to the games. Like he like, all right, you're supposed to do this in the game. He's like, but we're not going to do that. Oh, we have to make a character. Well, this character is going to look like, something like a person who's dressed up like a beekeeper, and it's supposed to be like a person who's in charge of a store. And then he's like, let's see what we can do. And he goes and takes like a broom and shoves cars down a cliff or something. And he's like, oh, there's too many people here. Let's get rid of all these cars.
Does anyone have
Sort of
any
thing.
idea what in the blue hell Dirk is talking about?
I'm
All I gotta
guessing.
say is just watch an episode of Let's Game It Out and you'll figure out, and you'll see really quickly what I'm talking about.
I don't see myself doing that.
Okay.
It's not so much about like breaking the game. I'm gathering as much as it is just like
Playing the
exploiting
game
stuff in the
very
game.
wrong.
Very very wrong. Okay.
And doing things to games that destroys the frame rate of a game.
Ah. Oh, okay. So not just like, hey, let's see if
It's
we can.
If you're looking for
content
a
skip or
Skyrim
whatever.
reference, it's I'm gonna fish, and I'm gonna drop all these fish, and I'm gonna see how long it takes for there to be so many fish beside me that the computer will not let me play anymore. Let me take by this house. Let me see how many things I can steal and shove into this house before the door won't open anymore. That kind of playing a game and breaking it, or playing a game very wrong.
Okay.
That is what he does.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Because I know, like, some people will play Metroid or Metroidvanias just to see if they can. What's the phrase? Sequence break.
Sequence break.
So yeah. So to one person that might be wrong, and to someone else they're like, watch how much control I have over the situation. That I know how the game works, and I can exploit that. So I wasn't trying to argue with you. I was trying to figure out what you meant by wrong. But I got you now. I got you.
For the record, there is no wrong way to play a game.
There's not.
I mean, if you shove it up your nose and it's an SNES cartridge, I don't know that it's recommended.
You just can't play the game. It just makes playing the game more difficult.
And breathing.
I mean, that's not playing the game. That's using the game to play a different game. Let's see how much I can fit up my nose.
Yes. I win. Or lose at the same time.
Please take me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, that was weird. So, yes, hi. Mike is still not with us, but he's not on his third week of vacation. He's just on a work trip. He's on the wrong coast. So, like, he's not even done with work yet.
Yeah.
The poor bastard. So, no Mike.
Nope.
But that's okay, because we got me and Dirk and Brian, and that's all you need. Yeah.
I miss Mike.
I do too. I did. I sent him and Ashley a message yesterday because I ate at Don Juan without them.
Oh.
And they were mad. Well, Ashley was. She sent me a mad face emoji. And I was like, ah ha 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 ha. So, yesterday, Mom and I went to the Greensboro Science Center. Because Mom had never been. And she wanted to go.
Never been? Wow. I didn't realize she'd never been.
I mean, at least not in memory that we had. Because she's like, have you ever been here? I was like, I mean, I went a couple years ago when someone came to visit. And I think I had been once before that. Maybe?
I think my perspective is skewed because I have a young child, like a preteen child. So, yeah. When you said, for a minute, I was taken aback, and I was like, oh, wait. My experience is not universal. So, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, and there were a lot of school buses there because Mom was like, yeah, we should probably go before school lets out. And I was like, yeah, because then all the kids will still be in school, forgetting that it's the end of the year and a bunch of end-of-the-year field trips are to the Science Center. Whoops.
Like you do.
But we managed to dodge the hordes and hordes of rambunctious children most of the day. But yeah, so the Greensboro Science Center, for anyone that doesn't know, is like a zoo and a museum and an aquarium all sort of smashed together.
Yep.
And it's pretty awesome.
One of the octopus tanks was actually built by the guys on the Animal Planet show Tanked, which is kind of like one of those, I don't know, like what are the shows where they fix up your car or whatever, wheels, or I'm not into that sort of stuff. Pimp My Ride or whatever, but for fish tanks. So,
well, there you go then.
Basically, this octopus tank was designed by people that make tanks for a living on HGTV or TLC or one of those. I think HGTV. And it was pretty freaking sweet, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've been to the Greensboro Science Center.
It is pretty cool. The way it's shaped like a bubble on the side that faces the public. So when the giant octopus is hiding back there, it refracts in such a way that you can actually see her.
Right.
Although she was stuck to the bubble. There were like three of us. No, it was me and Mom and two other women standing there trying to find the octopus, looking around the back, and then one of them glanced up and goes, "Oh, she's right there," and she was literally stuck to the top of the bubble, and we were like, "Oh, well, now we feel stupid."
Well, it's like when you go to the zoo and you're like, "I just want to see the cheetah," and the cheetah is like, in the tall grass. Sometimes these are animals. Sometimes it's the best you can do.
Yeah, but I mean,
the boss of
it was not hiding. It was literally stuck to the top of the bubble, where if we just looked up, we'd have seen it.
Ah, okay.
But we were looking like in the tank instead of at the glass. But yeah, they've got a whole mess of penguins that are adorable. And where they used to have a fishing cat, there was a giant iguana. And I was like, that's new. And they've got cassowaries, or murder chickens. And cassowaries are like modern versions of the movie Velociraptors. Like, that's what they are. They will just kill you. They've got pygmy hippos that I'd never seen. They've got a red panda who is just adorable, and I'm gonna die. Let's see. The gibbons weren't out. They had hidden gibbons.
They had hidden gibbons. Oh, Corey would love it.
Yeah, I thought about taking a picture of the empty gibbon enclosure and texting it to him, be like, the gibbons are hidden, but I figure he'd be like, who is this? So But yeah, they I don't know where the gibbons were. They were hidden. And I had to explain that to Mom. I'm like, "Oh no. Where are the gibbons? They must be hidden." And she goes, "I'm sorry, what?" Right. Mom, it's a magic card, Hidden Gibbons. She's like, "Why is there a magic card called Hidden Gibbons?" I'm like, "Cuz it's an enchantment, and then when something else happens, it turns into a monkey." She goes, "Oh, that's cute." I was like, "Right?" But let's see what else. They've got a tiger who was over there on top of a rock, way over there. Several different flavors of cats, a serval and fishing cats and whatnot. Yeah, dinosaur stuff inside. The otters were sleeping, so they didn't do much. We only saw one sleeping. We don't know where the rest of them were. And yeah, it was a good day. And if you're in the Manipool Discord, you might have seen this. We got to see a kookaburra, who is an adorable little fuzzy bird. Well, he's not little. He's not like hawk-sized, but he's like if you take any sort of standard songbird and just like triple his size, that's what a kookaburra looks like. Because they look like they're cute little songbirds, but they're massive compared to normal around here songbirds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear them all throughout the park whenever you're walking around because you know, because they have a very distinctive call that sounds nothing like I just did. But as we made our lap around, we came back to where the kookaburras were, and one of the employees, not employees, the volunteers there was like, "Oh my goodness, look at this." And yeah, the kookaburra had caught a chipmunk, presumably that worked its way into its enclosure, and had killed it, and was holding it by the neck and body and whatever. It kept shifting its grip and bashing it against the log it was standing on. Just bashing it. And it would pause and adjust its grip and whap, whap. And it was like, "Where's my money?" Whap. "Where's my money?" Whap. Like, it was hilarious and disconcerting and hypnotic. Mom and I stood there watching this thing adjust its grip and beat it, and adjust its grip and beat it, and then adjust its grip again and beat it this way. And we were like, what, for like 5 or 10 minutes? And it wouldn't stop. And the other kookaburra was above it on a different branch, just looking down intently like, "Dinner ready yet? Give me a second." Whap, whap. The volunteer was like, I don't think he was given that. I think he just caught it." And I was like, I mean, those are chipmunks that we have seen all over this park. So, yeah, must have. So that was entertaining that we got to see a chipmunk tenderizing. I mean, a kookaburra tenderizing a chipmunk. When I posted it in the Discord, I got the comment like, "Look, even the birds are trying to kill you in Australia."
Yeah. That poor little chipmunk was like, "I've never been in here before. I wonder what's."
Yeah. What kind of things are here?
And then in the same enclosure were a couple of, what are they called? Masked lapbirds, I think. Lapwings. There we go. And they were just in the corner watching this horrendous display. And like not really watching. They were like trying to, I think it looked like they were trying to pretend they couldn't see it. Like, oh my god.
Is that Joey? I told him not to go in there. Dang it.
We're like, oh god, the kookaburra's caught another one. All right, just don't look. He just wants attention. Don't look. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. Did all of the stuff that was there, and then we went and had Mexican food. Yay!
Nice. What did you get? Did you get the ACP?
No. Mom ordered the chicken palousas, which is almost ACP, for her, and I got a California burrito, because usually when I eat, I don't want to get it to go, which means I never get the California burrito because that doesn't feel right It doesn't feel the same out of one of the metal containers.
What makes it California?
I have no
Is
idea.
it
That's just
pineapple or?
it's just what they call it. It's
Okay.
just a giant burrito. I got a small, and it's giant. Like, I've eaten the large before, and I've always regretted it. And then she ordered another Paloosa's for the old man. Even though the old man claims to not like Mexican food. She's like, look, it's rice and grilled chicken and peppers and onions with cheese. And he was like, well, that sounds really good. She's like, I know. He's like, yeah, okay, bring me one of those.
Amazing how that works. I'm not always a big fan of Mexican food either. Carrie usually wants it more than I do, whereas I want Chinese food pretty much constantly, and she'll put up with it about once a month. Where we both kind of converge is Southwestern. So I can do quesadillas and burritos pretty constantly. So, but I kind of identify with your dad in that if you were just asked me straight up out of the blue, do you want Mexican? My default answer is just about always unless I'm really craving it, and that doesn't happen very often.
Oh no, he claims to not like Mexican food, even though we talked him into going to Don Juan once in Lexington, and he got the ACP because at Don Juan the ACP has chicken and cheese and rice, but also I think it's onions and zucchini and broccoli. And he's like, ooh, I like all of that. I'm like, I know you do.
Hey, it's almost like I've lived with you or known you for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And these are all things that you like, but you convinced yourself, as a lot of us do, don't get me wrong, a lot of us do, that it wasn't for you.
Yeah, and he ate it, and he liked it. And then later, when we tried to get him to eat Mexican food again, he's like, I don't eat that crap. We're like, what? Yes, you do?
All right, come with us. Let's reintroduce you.
I am actively trying, as an adult, to shake off presuppositions of food that I like, or I told myself I didn't like as a kid. I have actively tried to embolden myself. 10-year-old me would never have had a bell pepper because peppers are spicy, and now I put them in quesadillas pretty much all the time. So,
yeah, like, there was a time when I didn't eat Mexican food, and that's when I was stupid. Not saying that if you don't like Mexican food, you're stupid, but if you claim to not like Mexican food despite never having Mexican food, you're stupid.
that's the difference, is just like disliking something or telling yourself you dislike something simply because you've never had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I never get to have Indian food, but when I do, it's just the best. Oh my god. And like sushi, when I was young, you're gonna love sushi. We're like, you're stupid. I'm never gonna love sushi. And now I love sushi, like, so much.
I like sushi too. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I pretty much stick to the California rolls, but I really do enjoy a good one. So,
Oh man, I will try all kinds of nonsense. Really need to, before I end up, completely destitute, I need to go back to the place in Greensboro that's all you can eat for like a flat price. Like, you have to have, sorry, no, on your birthday you get free sushi, the free all you can eat sushi, but you have to have a party of at least 4 and they all have to be buying it. So that's how they don't just lose money on that. But
okay.
it's I went once for my birthday with Mike and Ashley. No. Scott. Who the hell was it?
I am not familiar with this place, so it was not me.
I feel like Mike was there and Scott was there. So it might have been like Mike was my date and Scott and Jacqueline, maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, I've been there once for that, and I went once another time, and yeah, it's ridiculous because you can order as much as you want, but they won't bring you more until it's all gone. So everyone usually orders like a roll, maybe like an extra one for everyone to try, and then once you eat all that, they come back. Okay, now what do you want? And they'll just keep bringing it to you as long as you clear it, and it's insane. And I always, both times I have left miserable but happy. Like I ate way too much sushi, and I burped sushi for like 2 days, and I was in heaven. But yeah, if you'd have told, even as old as like 18-year-old me, hey, you're gonna love sushi, I'd have been like, I don't think so, bro. Actually, I'd have been like, there we go. Trying to think of what else I've opened up to over the years.
Now, one thing that I've actually like had the reverse happen to is mom makes a great spaghetti sauce. It's something that's common to I think a lot of moms. Your mom makes great spaghetti sauce too. I've never tried Dirk's mom's spaghetti sauce. It's probably awesome. But she would put mushrooms in, and as a kid, I would be like, "Yeah, this is great." And then I remember clear as day. I don't know if I was 8, 9, somewhere around there. I had been eating them for years. I had one on my plate, and I put it on my fork, and I was about to put it in my mouth, and somehow I said, "This is a mushroom," and my brain went, "What?" And I'm like, "This is a mushroom," and I tried to eat it, and I couldn't make myself eat it. And to this day, I've never been a big fan of mushrooms, whereas younger me didn't have a problem with it. Somehow my brain, my stupid brain, was like, "Hey, you're gonna eat some fungus," and I'm like, "Crap!" It just ruined it for me. I'm so glad Sam still eats mushrooms, and I'm very glad. Sam has a very good palate.
Yeah,
So,
Amanda's kid is the opposite of that. Amanda's kid is super picky and swears up and down, I don't like chicken. Amanda's like, you eat chicken on this, and this, and this, and this, That's all chicken. Yeah, but I don't like that chicken. Oh my god.
Chicken is in almost everything. I figured at one point, I think we eat more. My family, at least, I think we eat more chicken than we do beef. Which we are not vegetarians. We love our beef, so that's saying something. We just eat a ton of chicken.
It's because it's delicious.
Because it's delicious and it's super versatile. So.
I still can't eat eggs though. Just the smell of any kind of egg is like to me.
Scrambled eggs.
Just no.
Over easy. Just
like I don't know why. Apparently, when I was like very little, I would eat scrambled eggs every morning. Like mom said, when I would take you to the babysitter, I would give her an egg for your breakfast. And I was like, that's weird. She's like, because you ate eggs every day. And then I guess as I grew up, I don't know, my taste buds kicked in. Because all of a sudden one day mom was like, you just refused to eat them ever again. You started gagging. And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you still? I'm like, probably. The smell makes me gag. I assume the taste would. She's like, that's so weird. I'm like, I because like this is before I had memories, like is when I ate eggs, because I have no memory personally of ever eating eggs in my life. Right. And I don't know what age memories start to form that you remember, but at some point after memories, I had stopped with eggs and never went back to them. Like I can eat baked goods that are made with eggs, obviously. I can eat like Chinese food that has that weird egg fluff in it.
Yeah.
As long as that weird egg fluff isn't too big. Like if there's too much of it, I start to taste the egg and I go
That's basically just scrambled egg. I've made that before, but you know, if you can eat it that way, great. I'm not trying to talk it into it. Do you eat deviled eggs?
No.
Okay.
I think you had a bad egg at some point.
I mean, I've been told I am a bad egg. You know what they say? One bad egg. No, wait.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
One bad egg spoils the carton? Hang on.
Bushel? Do you buy eggs in bushels? I don't think you do.
I certainly don't.
For a while there, you couldn't buy them at all. Like what, two or 3 months ago?
I mean, you
They
could.
were
They
like
were just damn. I mean, they still are just
they
damn
were
expensive.
they were like $8 a dozen. You couldn't find them anywhere. We were running out of eggs, and I'm like, we can't use eggs in any recipes but they have come down. They are still expensive, but they are not at the meteoric price they were before.
Well, that's because at least one, probably multiple egg companies used an outbreak of avian flu as an excuse to jack up the price. And then
I had
when
heard
that
that.
like passed, they dropped it back down some.
I had heard something to that effect. Yeah.
And also, they made record profits. Imagine that. Which that's not how it works. Like if it's inflation or supply problems or whatever, and you have to jack up the prices for that, you then don't have record profits. Like that's not how that excuse works. So when you use that as an excuse,
yeah.
and then you have record profits, that means you were lying. See also every oil company that exists.
Yes.
Anyway. Before Chewie goes off on anti-capitalist rants, let's go somewhere else.
Okay.
Dirk, what foods do you not eat that you or didn't used to eat or something? I don't know.
Tomato.
What foods do you eat now that you didn't as a kid, or the reverse?
Yeah.
So I used to eat tomatoes like all the time, and then at some point I just stopped liking them. And the funny thing is like, and I mean like uh uncooked, like just tomatoes that you wash and you slice. I
Right.
don't like those.
I
But
don't
hey,
either.
tomato sauce, uh, do fried tomatoes or something, and all that, or cook them over a flame and all that. Then I'm fine. But I just can't do sliced tomatoes.
And see, apparently that's a fairly common thing, because my wife doesn't eat tomatoes, Sam doesn't eat tomatoes, and
I don't eat tomatoes.
when you don't eat tomatoes, and we were going to the funeral and seeing a whole bunch of family, and like a lot of food was consumed, there was just discussion about like 3/4 of the room just didn't eat tomatoes, and I'm like, I love raw tomatoes with mozzarella. Like that to me is divine. So I just apparently that is a very common thing. But like you said, you eat spaghetti, you eat pizza, you eat all this stuff that is made with tomatoes, but you don't like raw tomatoes, right? So common thing. I knew somebody in high school, and this is kind of taking it the other way, and I thought this was a little weird. This kid would bring a tomato in his lunch, and he would eat it like an apple. And I don't know why that would bother me, because I like tomatoes, but I'm like, I just watch him like bite into the side with no salt or seasoning or anything, and I just thought, that's not how you do that. Called me judgmental, but I was apparently judgmental, because that to me was out of my experience realm or whatever, and I found
I
that
saw
to
someone
be
do that with
on
an
the
onion once, and when
onion?
I was young, and I distinctly remember my mom like grabbing my face and turning it away and being like, "Quit staring." I'm like, "She's eating an onion like it's an apple."
That, that, mm,
Yeah,
that
it
doesn't
was
seem right
weird.
to me. Yeah. I'm not here to judge people and their life choices, but not everything is an apple. Not everything should be an apple.
Huh. So, for a quick veering of topic entirely, so we've all, since Mike's not here, we've all seen the Mario movie. Sorry,
Yes.
the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Not to be confused with the other one. Although
Yeah.
I've seen that one too.
I don't think I've ever sat through the whole thing.
I saw it in theaters.
Oh dear
And
God.
I was a young kid. Believe it or not, I was like, that wasn't bad. And my mom leaving the movie was like, that was a bad movie. Like, just straight up. And I'm like, Mom, I'm like 10 years old. She's like, that was a bad movie. I'm like, okay. And then I later I was like, yeah, this didn't work. But we're talking about the other one, the one that's made like a bajillion, gajillion, billion dollars.
Roughly.
Yeah,
By now, it probably crossed that line. Yeah.
yeah. Me, my, mo million.
Yeah. I think we all really enjoyed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I I think I started to say when we were talking about it a little while ago, and I didn't want to go into detail because Chewie hadn't seen it and Mike hadn't seen it, and Mike's not here, and he can't stop me. Wahaha! But watching the watching the previews, I thought, okay, this looks pretty good, but they can't. They seemed a bit generic. And when we saw Bowser, he's like torching stuff and seems really kind of grim dark, and I'm like, okay, this. I hope they don't take themselves like too seriously. And so, if we're starting to get into the movie now, spoiler alert, um, that you've got this opening scene that's just basically straight out of the preview where he's torching. I'm like, okay, and then you have the later scene where he's celebrating with his, Koopalings or Kingdom or his underlings, whatever you want to say. And he's like, "We have the star," and they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We're gonna go to the Mushroom Kingdom." They're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "And I'm gonna marry Princess Peach." I said, "Yes, this is the Bowser I came to see." Like that. That was 100%. And you might go, "Well, duh," and I'm like, "That's the point. The point is not, oh, I'm Bowser. I'm gonna destroy the world. The point is, the world is getting between me and my Peach." And that to me, like right off the bat, I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good about this. And then the rest of the movie just worked. Do I still think Chris Pratt was an interesting choice? Sure, but I mean, it wasn't a major hangup for me. So
It
did a good
bothered me
job
a
with the
lot more
lines.
in the trailers. Like I was like, I'm gonna love this movie except for Chris Pratt's take on Mario. But I think they knew that, so they started with the Mario
The
Brothers plumbing
commercial, yeah,
with
yeah,
the super thick like Mario accent, and then went to, are you sure that's not too much? And for some reason that took the edge off of the Chris
it
Pratt
did
voice
that, and
immediately.
they knew what they were doing with that. I remember we were on the show months over a year ago when and they announced the voice cast and we're like going through it and we're like, really, look at that, really. But I mean, yeah, it worked, and it's probably a little less distracting than the straight up super Italian would have been.
Well, yeah. Like I didn't understand when it was the cast was announced. Everyone immediately, of course, went, "Oh, Chris Pratt, come on!" Which I mean, I was one of those people too, but I was not one of the people who went, "Why didn't they just let Charles Martinet do it?" And I'm like, because his version of Mario isn't a voice for a movie.
Yeah,
His version of Mario is a voice for jumping around and making noises. Ooh,
yeah.
like that in an entire movie would make me want to rip my own ears off. And other people were like, well, they could have let him do the voice. He is an actual voice actor. I'm like, I mean, they could have, but then you'd get, why are they letting him do Mario, but not his, not, it's not his Mario. So I think casting another person was the only right way to do that. I kind of wish they'd gotten someone else, but it was fine. It didn't bother me at all once,
I think they
the movie
did.
got going.
I think they did have him play like Mario's dad or something.
He was Mario's
So,
dad, and he was the guy who was playing the Jumpman arcade game,
oh,
who
cool.
actually had Mario's voice. Like, are you sure this isn't too much? Like, no, it'll be perfect. I was like, oh.
Nice. I liked the part where he was playing Kid Icarus.
Yeah, that was pretty good. There were so many Easter eggs in the
Oh,
backgrounds of the Brooklyn section. Like, even his his old boss, Spike.
yeah.
So Spike is one of the enemies, I think, from Wrecking Crew, the NES game. and he's the foreman
I just
in
knew
Wrecking
him
Crew.
as. I didn't know him from that. Spike was the name of the mini boss in the fortresses in not Kingdom Hearts. That's a separate thing.
In Mario
In
3.
Mario
Yeah.
3, that's where I
Oh.
thought, oh, okay, there's the name, but I did not know that.
Yeah, well, it's
Um,
because it's an Easter egg. So if you
yeah.
don't know it, it doesn't take away from it. But if you do know it, it's like ah.
The in case you missed it or Easter egg hunt things on YouTube will be fed by this movie for years because of all the stuff
Yeah.
in the background.
Like there after the climax of the movie, like there's a scene where Mario wakes up in his room and is like getting ready to go to work. And I spotted an F-Zero poster, a Kung Fu
Nice.
poster that I'm pretty sure the Kung Fu poster was an actual ad for Kung Fu from like old video game magazines back then.
My cousin had Kung Fu. I played that game, and it frustrated the heck out of me that I couldn't just master going left and punching people. So I
There
remember that
was
game both fondly and not fondly.
there
Sorry, go ahead.
was a baseball poster, like the NES black box game baseball. Those are always the three that come to mind, but at the time I counted like six. I know there was a Punch Out reference. I think it was in the bar or the diner, rather, not the bar.
I
That might have been the name
think I
of
remember that.
the bar.
I
Was
think the bar the I think
or
the bar
diner.
was or I think the diner was something to do with Punch Out.
Yeah, and it had like pictures of the fighters on the wall or something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, like the Easter egg game in this movie was brilliant because again,
Yeah.
the sign of a good Easter egg isn't like something happens and you go, "What the hell was that?" unless you have knowledge of things outside of the movie. Like that's a bad Easter egg.
Yeah.
But a good Easter egg is when if you don't know it, like I said, it doesn't detract, but if you do know it, it adds.
Right.
Like knowing about
And
Spike is perfect.
Yeah. This movie was strong with the Easter eggs. And you could just watch this movie and not see them. And how many of the Easter eggs were in the music? Because I'm
Right?
like, I know this music, and I'm like remembering it's from this Mario game, it's from this level or whatever. And maybe that's a bit much, but to me, I enjoyed it, but it also just sounded cool. I was just going through YouTube last night. I was trying to get some sleep, and sometimes I'll just take my phone and just see if there's a music I want to put on or something. Um, and I just stumbled across the track that plays when they get the superstar, and I'm like, yes. And for like a minute and a half, it kind of reminded me a little bit about. It was not evocative of Portals from Endgame, but that same sort of like just snappy minute and a half of just took me right back to there. I've only seen the movie once, but I could pick it right up. So, yeah.
I loved after Bowser sings Peaches, and Kamek sits down at the piano and they start going do 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 on the piano. I was like, ah!
Yeah, just like it's Chopsticks, but it's it's the underground theme. Was there not? Maybe I think this was blank and you miss it, but there was the scene where he was acting out with Kamek, and he gets interrupted, and Kamek seems super upset by being interrupted. Did you pick up on that?
I have no memory of this, so I might have. It's been long enough now to where if I didn't think about it at the time, it probably fell off.
Bowser is pretending to propose to Kamek like he's gonna propose to Peach, of course expecting her to be like, "Oh, big strong lizard man, yes." And a trooper comes in to tell them something, and I think maybe about Luigi being kidnapped or something, and Kamek seems really upset that so I wonder if there's a implied a little something going on there, a extra professional whatever on Kamek's part, which honestly I'm all down for. So
I have to say, as much as I enjoyed the pop songs that were in it, they all seem to come out of nowhere.
Did feel a little shoehorned in, like, hey, yeah, we've got this song to play here, or we said we would play this song, so here you go. You think?
I probably like as they were when they first were on the cart going through the Donkey Kong country to get to the king, who it made me so happy that it was Cranky Kong, by the way. But as they were going to get to the king, like some random 80s song came on, and I'm like, I love this song, and I'm like, how does this fit at all with what's going on? Uh,
Well, and didn't they play "I Need a Hero" at some
Yeah.
point?
well,
And
of
I mean,
course, every movie has to have
I
"I Need a Hero" in it at this point. It seems.
apparently, so I like that song. I was in honors English in like 10th grade, and my teacher was, and this was 1998, and my teacher was obsessed with 80 songs, and she actually tried to play some and work them into the literature. So we're talking about
Yeah.
like Greek heroes, and she plays that song, and it was the first time I ever heard it. And ever since then, whenever anybody says, "Oh, it's that song from Shrek," I want to scream because it's not from Shrek 2, but whatever. That
Yeah, it's
you know,
from Short Circuit too. Damn it.
you 10-year-olds, and this is all you know. But I get everybody hears it at different times, so I'm not trying to sound judgmental, unlike everything else I've said tonight. But when I feel like it's been in enough stuff that I'm like, it no longer feels unique to hear. It's especially when it's basically done the same way. I'm like, all right,
Oh yeah.
I love
Like
I love this song,
it's a
but
great song, but it's a one trick thing, and it's used for that one thing so
yeah,
many times. There was
it's
a
been the
period.
default now. Yeah,
There's a period a year or two ago, um, where like within the course of a month, I think three completely different trailers for completely different types of movies came out, and all three trailers had "I Need a Hero" in it. Like Alex Shaw lost his mind, the host of School of Movies. For those that don't know, he lost his mind. He's like, again with the "Need a Hero"? Come on!
yeah, yeah. Like we get, okay, this is a movie about heroes. We have a song about, but can you not stretch just a little bit?
Like I
Whoever
think he
owns the rights
made
to that music must be just living it up.
right.
Bonnie Tyler. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
will say yes.
I mean, it is a Bonnie Tyler
I'm not.
song, yeah.
Okay. This sounds weird because I said I love this song. I'm not very good with artists,
He's
pretty
really
much at
not.
all. No, except Nickelback. But otherwise,
But but yeah, the music just seemed sort of shoehorned in because it's Illuminations and that's what we do is we use pop music, so get it in there.
yeah.
I'm
When
like,
it
but you
didn't
had such
really
amazing
need to
Nintendo
be.
music
Yeah,
that was the arrangements of which were brilliant.
they were just great. Maybe they ran. Maybe they. I don't know. Maybe they only had so much they could use, and they're saving more for the sequel. And there will. I mean, come on. There's gonna have to be a sequel, if not like the MCU will now be the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Mario Cinematic Universe or something. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe they felt like they had tracks they were going to use, but they didn't need the pop. To be honest, I had forgotten the pop songs were in there until you brought it up.
Yeah.
Because the other music is no, seriously, the other music is what stuck with me.
Oh yeah, especially Peaches.
Peach's theme was good.
Everybody else seems to love it. To me, it was almost a little too wacky to just be like, I'm okay, but
But
I
it
didn't hate
plays
it.
well into what he's doing.
It
So I mean,
does,
if you're gonna have it where he's like, I'm in love with Peach.
yeah,
He's gonna be the creepy guy. Is like, you know, I'm I wrote you a song Peach being or we as the audience and been going, God, he's really really creepy about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
like
I mean,
he's
it
already
was
said, "I'm gonna marry her."
it was
She just doesn't
incel
know it yet.
Bowser, dude. Like straight up. It was a kid's version of an
Mhm.
incel, and I find that hilarious.
so no, it works for the scenes. But like when I hear about people listening to it later,
Oh
like
no.
we don't talk about Bruno or anything like that, where it gets stuck in your ear. I'm like, this is not a. This song worked in the movie. This is not a song that I'm like, I need to hear it
I
again.
play it on
Like,
a loop.
Yeah, no, no,
yeah,
no.
Yeah, it only works in the movie.
yeah, you got it. Agreed.
Although if you're one of those people, go for it. Have a party. Just know that we're judging you. Oh, not too harshly though. Just a little bit. Like, oh,
No,
you're one of those. All right. Oh. But yeah, I
yeah.
realized about. Oh, hang on. What was that? Okay. Who's dying? I'm not dying. You're dying.
Better not die. I'll
I,
kill you.
it is. It is the
Once it's
first
here,
rule.
not it.
People don't realize that's the punishment for breaking rule 1. Is if you die, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, I mean, let
Makes
the
sense.
punishment fit the crime. Yeah.
All right, let me try that again. I realized about I want to say like 2/3 of the way through the movie that like I got tears in my eyes because I realized that this was a movie that I've been waiting for since I was like 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I saw what the first Mario Brothers movie was, I just saw a couple of like screen stills from Nintendo Power, and I was like, I mean, Mario and Luigi look cool, but what is all of that? And then I like watched some of it, and I was like, and these hiccups are now replacing me dying. Thanks, hiccups. But
I think
like,
I saw the original movie until I think I was probably like in high school.
oh, lucky you.
I know. I did
Yeah,
not
we'll see
see it
the-
in theaters.
Yeah,
I did,
I didn't.
and
I wasn't that bad. That would have crushed my poor little spirit when I was that young. But like, yeah, this is okay. Not. I was trying to explain this to my friend Kristen a few days ago. She's like, "So wait, you've been waiting on a Mario movie your whole life?" I'm like, not specifically that, but this is something that has meant something to me since I was very young.
yeah.
Like, the old man and I played the hell out of Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Mario World and Mario 64. Like, Mario has just been a part of my life since I was, like I said, about 8 was when when I first got into Nintendo. And to see it translated to the big screen in a mainstream way, because like video games are huge now. Like video games, like, okay, to put it in perspective, when I was a kid, if you played video games, you got picked on. Like elementary school and middle school even, oh, you play video games? And like that was a thing nerds did.
That
And
was
then
the
like
way of a pecking order. Yeah.
yeah, and then like the PlayStation happened and they started marketing video games to the jocks who used to pick on me for playing video games, and I was like, hey, like Penny Arcade even did a comic about it years ago, and I was like, exactly, like it's not fair, what the hell.
Hmm.
And but yeah, so video games have over the years since then gotten more and more and more mainstream, and they like the video game industry is bigger than Hollywood as far as pure amount of money these days. But like it's still not mainstream in that way, and to
Yeah.
see this massive kids movie breaking records for animated films it was just like, oh, we've made it now.
Yeah.
It was sort of like when I saw X-Men in theaters, because I was a video game nerd before I was a comic book nerd, which is an important distinction to make. So I waited longer for a Mario movie than I did for an Iron Man movie.
Comic book movie. Yeah.
Because if you had told me in high school, hey, in just 10 years, like, or 12 or whenever, I forget when the Iron Man came out, like
2008.
I don't think that's right. Iron Man release date was 2008. You are right. Okay.
Happens every now and then.
So wait, when was Iron Man 2? 2010. What the hell happened in 2011? Oh well. Oh, I bet that was Avengers.
Avengers was 2012.
Oh, okay, never mind. I give up. But yeah, if you told me, when I was in high school that hey, in like 10 years there's going to be a movie about Iron Man and it's going to take the world by storm, I'd have been like, you're stupid.
And it's going to be part of a new Marvel golden age where they're going to make amazing movies that are just destroys the box office.
Exactly. And like when at some point after Iron Man, they're going to introduce Thanos, and he's going to be the big bad, and everybody in the world is going to know who Thanos is. I'd have been like, you're high. Because like Thanos has seriously been my favorite comic book villain since I don't know, sometime in early high school when I first read the Infinity Gauntlet and the Thanos Quest, because he wasn't like, I'm gonna control the universe because I'm better than everyone and I should. Like the Thanos in the comics was, he wanted to control the universe because he was in love with death.
Yeah.
Like the physical manifestation of death in the Marvel universe, Lady Death. He was in love with her, and she had resurrected him so that he would wipe out half of the life in the universe because there are just too many damn living people. And he was like, I will do this for you because I love you, and I will prove my worth to you, and then you'll come to my birthday party, and we'll be best friends, and we'll get married. Okay. And so he did all of this insane nonsense because of unrequited love. Oh, that's
pretty unrequited, right? Like, she strung him along, like, do this, and he's like, okay, and she's like, what?
Brian, you sound quiet now.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why.
Like he walked away from the computer and is talking from the other end.
It does sound like he's across the room, yeah.
I unplugged this. Am I better now?
You are.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it was pretty unrequited, right? Because he did what she wanted, and she was kind of like, is that it?
Yeah, and then in order to do what she wanted, he had to become God, and who was many, many, many stations above her. And so now she's just subservient to him, and that pissed her off. Which, understandably so. And, like, I loved that about his character. And also the fact that he won. Like, spoilers for the Infinity Gauntlet series. He won. He either killed or just removed all of the heroes assembled to take him down. And then he fought off all of the cosmic entities who came in after that. And then he took down Eternity, who is the personification of the universe itself, and became the universe itself. Like, he won! And then it was all ripped away because, well, when he left his physical body to become the universe, he sort of left the gauntlet down there on it.
Yeah. And Nebula was like, yeah, I don't like you.
Yeah, she was like, yoink.
So, I was never a big comic book person. I don't think I ever owned any, but a friend of mine had, while this was being printed and released, he had some of the Infinity War comics. I knew who Spider-Man was. I didn't really know the Avengers. I knew the X-Men. And I see this comic where Wolverine is going up against this guy. This guy freezes time, is like, I could kill you with an instant, but he's looking at death. He's like, no, let's get down and dirty with it. He unfreezes time, takes these guys one at a time, and he turns Wolverine, who I know as like a 10-year-old, to be the ultimate badass. And he turns his adamantium skeleton into actual rubber bands, and I'm like,
Yup.
holy crap. I don't remember much of anything else, and that episode ended with the Silver Surfer trying to grab the gauntlet, missing. And that kind of clued Thanos into like bigger threats are coming. And that was where that one ended, and I never read any of the others, but I heard about Nebula, and at the time I didn't even know who Nebula was.
Yeah, I
But
didn't either.
there was a What If comic where Silver Surfer actually got the gauntlet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
feel like there
was.
was. So
What if I think it was number 50, 49? It was one of those because I've got that one. It was
okay.
depressing as hell, but most What If comics were depressing as hell.
As it turns out, things, even if they don't seem, if they work out for the best at the end, with the writers, they're probably heading toward a greater goal, and you might sacrifice some of that for like a temporary happy ending that doesn't achieve the same levels of character growth.
Yeah, but like I bring all this up, the MCU and whatnot, because like I said, if you told me when I was in high school, hey, soon everybody in the world is gonna know your favorite comic book character, I'd have been like, get the hell out of here. And then because like Spider-Man, everyone knows Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always been mainstream. And the X-Men after the 90s, like because X-Men comics exploded and then there was the cartoon.
Yeah, which the cartoon really sucked me in. So
Exactly. And like okay, yeah, everyone knows who the X-Men are, sure. So when there was an X-Men movie, I was like, of course there is. And then there was a Spider-Man movie. I was like, of course there is. And then, years later they do Iron Man and I'm like, I mean, I hope this works because I was always a huge Iron Man fan, but no one else knew who the hell Iron Man was. Like comic book nerds and people adjacent to comic book nerds. Like, I guess there was a Saturday morning cartoon that ran for a couple seasons at or before that, but like, it didn't reach the heights of the '90s Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons at all.
yeah,
Even though season 2 had a kick-ass theme song of him with the hammer clang, clang, and I clang, am clang, Iron Man. It was awesome. Look it up. But I didn't know that at the time. I learned about that like a decade and a half later. So yeah, watching comics turn into the biggest thing in Hollywood to the point, and it's been the biggest thing in Hollywood for so long now that all of the talking heads are like, oh, superhero fatigue happening, just because it's been popular for so long, even though
yeah.
it hasn't really gotten that much worse and people aren't actually sick of it. The people whose job it is to talk about movies are sick of it.
But, and I'm glad you mentioned this. This, if you'll allow me, this is a segue into something that I did want to discuss. As much, okay, I'm a big Marvel fanboy. I was not before. I'm a fan of what the movies have done, because what the movies had done, and Dirk mentioned this a bit earlier, is if you had told us, 20 years ago, hey, Iron Man would exist, and Dirk mentioned it would be the stepping stone to something else. Iron Man by itself, I remember seeing that movie, sitting down with Tom, somebody else that we know from outside of here, and just being like, this is just a good movie. Forget everything else about it. It's a good movie. Looking back at it now, I'm still not sure how they how can they do that? How can they make me believe that this man is actually, the screws are going in, he's putting on this iron suit and he's flying around, and I know logistically in my head I'm like, it's not real. But what I'm watching seems 100% believable. It does. It just does.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the behind the scenes. I don't want to, because it just did a great job. The characters are good. It was a fantastic way to start this. and I have been very pleased with the Marvel universe. I've seen all the movies. I've watched the TV shows, and this is maybe the downside that I'm starting to get to. I wouldn't call it fatigue. I'm not tired of it. But before we started this discussion, before we even started this um the show, we were talking and Dark mentioned he hadn't seen a Marvel movie in a while. And you said what the last movie you saw you think was Doctor Strange. Is that right? The second Doctor Strange? Maybe he stepped away. Pretty sure he said he
That is
saw
what he said. Yeah.
doc, the Doctor Strange last. And I was thinking, oh, well, Wakanda Forever was fantastic. And people were down on Quantumania a bit, but it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. And I was gonna say, but you really need to see it to kind of know what's coming next. And I stopped and I thought, is there a point in me, a part of me that is almost getting to the point, again, not fatigue, I'm still happy to see these, but does it start to feel a little more like homework? That if there's one I'm maybe not as interested in, well, I still need to see it. Maybe I don't need to see it in theaters. I can see it on streaming or, home video if that's still a thing. Question mark. To really understand what's going to happen next. And is that a positive or a negative? I think I put up with it through. See, Iron Man was great. Avengers was really the litmus test of we've done all these separate characters. Now we put them together. Um, and it was gangbusters, right? It broke all sorts of records. It was good. It was very, very good.
Yep.
And it Iron Man could have been great, and the individual movies could have been great, and they did Avengers, and people were like, well, okay, this is all right. And it may have petered out. Maybe they'd done a couple other characters, but it would not have reached the heights that it did if people did not 100% buy into the first Avengers movie. So that was a treat. That wasn't homework. That was a treat. That was like, hey, I know these people. I saw these movies. This is great. And then Phase Two and Ultron, which the Ultron movie is better than a lot of people give it credit for, still really good. And then it all felt like it was leading up to the end of Phase 3 and Infinity War, seeing Infinity War on opening night and leaving, and no one in the theater, like, saying anything, just like going through collective trauma and watching people, like, getting ready to go into the theater, and we're all like, but in a good way, and then Endgame being this amazing payoff. That was all great. I know one of the criticisms for Phase 4 into Phase 5 is that people felt like they were still feeling things out. I know we talked about that before, and they're allowed to do that. And I'm okay with them taking their time and getting back to some of these characters without having to say, like, oh, look, here's the next big threat. Have these smaller stories. But am I starting to get to the point where I feel like we're now 30 plus films in, not even including the TV shows? Am I starting to feel it a bit? I don't know. I'm still enjoying what they're doing, but Quantumania was okay. Eternals was okay. At what point do you feel, and this is a question for everybody, I'm not trying to dictate the answer, at what point do you feel like maybe you don't want to feel like you have to see all of it, you know? What's the threshold for that?
I mean,
So,
I think they're all of the movies thus far are constructed in such a way that if you haven't seen everything else, it doesn't matter. Like Mike hasn't seen half of the MCU and he still really dug Infinity War and Endgame.
that's
Like,
true. And it
I
may
think
be,
because we have seen them all, we have it in our head that you have to see them all, but you don't.
and that's entirely possible. This may be a self-imposed constraint, but it's almost like you know that you've seen all this other stuff and you've enjoyed it and you've enjoyed seeing it. So have we not ourselves
Ouch.
created this expectation? You okay?
I was I was trying to pop my elbow and flexing my arm, and I forgot I was wearing a headset, and I punched the side of my headset when I flexed my arm, and it hurt. Like
Don't
my
do
ear.
that. Yeah. But I mean, like, have we, and maybe this doesn't apply to everybody, but have we created that expectation where we feel like FOMO, you know? Are we going to miss out on something that when we see the next one, but we've missed one in the middle, we won't know who this character is, or we won't get quite how special it is. And maybe that's something my brain is just doing to itself. I watched
I think so.
all I watched all of Marvel's Agents of Shield, although the last two seasons I saw later when they were on streaming. I did not watch those when they came out. But while some people dumped on that show because it didn't have enough Marvel characters or superheroes or whatever, I thought the whole point was here are how like normal people in this organization are dealing with there's gods and mutants, not mutants, we don't call them that, but Professor Banners and that sort of stuff running around, and you have to try to keep up. I enjoyed it. And while they had tie-ins to some of the movies, like in the first season, you saw the effects. They go to clean up after the effects of Thor: The Dark World, and Winter Soldier played heavily into it because of what Shield is. The two were, and the episodes were timed that the revelation about Hydra in the show came out like the week after the movie. So I thought that it was done well in that if you saw the show, great, but like in the movies, Coulson never came back. And that episode 1, season 1, Coulson is like, I'm still alive, because turns out Kree technology. But you did not have to watch the show to know anything about it to then watch the movies. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, sort of like the Netflix shows, like those had one-way crossover. Like Agents of Shield had to exist in the same world as the movies, but the movies didn't give a crap if Agents of Shield happened or not.
Right.
And like the Netflix movies referenced the incident or whatever that happened in Avengers. But other than that, and it would occasionally mention, suit of armor or guy with a hammer. But other than that, it didn't matter, and the movies didn't care about those shows either.
Right.
Whereas that was the big difference with the Disney Plus shows. They're like, these are all part of the MCU now. But thus far, other than WandaVision, none of the shows have mattered yet. I guess you could make an argument that Loki will matter, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah, Loki will matter because of what Kang is and what he represents. But what was the second one? Falcon and Winter Soldier. That will matter because now Captain America is getting his own movie.
I mean, it might not. Like, it makes perfect sense that Falcon would have been the replacement since he gave him the shield.
Yeah. That's true. Do you need to know anything about that show or every detail or anything? I guess that's the question.
Yeah,
Probably
and I don't think you do. I think it's sort of like Easter eggs. Like if you know, it helps, but if you don't, I don't think it matters.
She-Hulk, I doubt. While I enjoyed it, I doubt that you'll need to know anything. There didn't seem to be anything that really impacted the MCU as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
it reintroduced Daredevil. Well,
but then
I guess it introduced Daredevil.
But we already had Daredevil from his own show, and now he is also getting his own show. So even if you didn't see She-Hulk,
you said existed. Anything that like impacted on the MCU. I think the fact that She-Hulk exists and the fact that they brought Daredevil back is about all that show did.
Yeah,
that could matter.
Too. Yeah, like because all of it ties in somehow, but how impactful is it, right? So
yeah, but I think the people who have that thought of, oh my god, it's like Disney's giving us homework, we have to watch all this crap. No, you really don't. Like if you don't want to watch something, don't
do it.
Like don't do like they did with Star Wars. Bill watched Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian season 2, did not watch the Book of Boba Fett, and then started Mandalorian season 3 and was like, wait, what the hell is going on? Because Book of Boba Fett, it turns out, was Mandalorian season 2.5, but
Yeah.
because Bill didn't care about Boba Fett, he didn't watch that show. And I was like, oh, well, you should watch it because, you know, it's only, what, 6-8 episodes, and it's not bad. He's like, I just read a quick, like, wiki description of what happened so I could watch Mando season 3. I was like, that's weird, but okay.
But
Like,
then
you could
like
really
you said,
only watch, like, the last 3 episodes of it, and it would make perfect sense. He went, eh. I was like, oh, fair enough. But the fact that he had to go look something up because in a non-Mandalorian branded series, stuff that was very explicitly relevant to the plot of The Mandalorian happened, just pissed him off. And I thought about that in, you know, regards to the MCU, and I don't think any of that's happened except for WandaVision, which was the first one.
Except for WandaVision, I think you're probably correct, although we'll see down the line. Possibly Hawkeye, because of the tie-in with the Kingpin and introducing the character of Echo, as well as, you know, the Hawkeye.
The new Hawkeye. But I mean,
Hawkeye.
I'm sure
So-
once all of that stuff shows up in movies, it will be explained enough for people to be like, oh, okay, that's a new Hawkeye. Got it.
Yeah.
And if they want to know more, they can go back and watch the show, I guess. But I don't think it'll be required viewing because,
Right.
like, if you're going to watch Guardians 3, it's Guardians 3, so you should probably watch 1 and 2.
Probably.
But
What about the holiday special? I never watched the holiday special.
I didn't either. Mom said it was really good.
Guardian 1?
Yeah.
Guardian 1 was fun,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I don't consider it required.
I just haven't gotten around to seeing it yet, but I didn't know if I needed to see it before I saw 3. But, you know, we will probably see 3, but will we see it in theaters? I don't know. Last year we saw every Marvel movie in theaters, in part because either AMC or Regal was doing a thing where, hey, if you see all 3 movies this year through us, you get so many credits, and we're like, well, we probably want to see them anyway, so we made a point of seeing them that way. This year, we don't have that. And will we probably see them? Maybe. We've already seen Quantumania, but if our schedules don't work out, we'll wait for it to go to streaming. Because, you know, that's where it will go eventually.
Yeah.
The Guardians are some of our favorite movies. I remember taking Carrie to see the first Guardians movies, not knowing if it would really be either of our thing. The commercials, I don't know that they really jived with me, and Carrie is not always a big action film person, and she loved it. She loved it, and so the Guardians have been some of our favorite films.
Yeah. I remember saying that if they managed to make the Guardians of the Galaxy, of all the obscure nonsense they could have picked, if they managed to make this work as a movie, then Marvel has written themselves a blank check. They have license to use just whatever they can, no matter how silly, in from their comics, and they can make it work with the proper, you know, writer and director. And then Guardians was amazing, and I was like, yeah, that's it. They can do whatever they want now.
Guardians should not have worked. It is a space heist sort of movie where one character is a human that all he knows about human culture is from the 80s. One is the assassin adopted daughter of the main bad guy. And yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. But otherwise, you don't really know anything about her. And then who are the other 3 people? One is a giant guy played by Dave, is it Bautista? Is that how you pronounce that? Who takes everything super literally, which they seem to have toned that down, but, you know, that's it, and has knives, and is bare-chested all the time. One is a talking raccoon.
Who's a dick.
Who's a dick and loves guns. And one is literally a talking tree. Talking being a bit of an exaggeration. who's voiced by Vin Diesel,
Of all
and
people.
says 4 words the whole movie, 3 most of the time, and then change the one pronoun for the last time. That should not have worked.
Hey, he changed the verb too.
Oh, that's 5 words. I'm sorry.
And
There was a
Thank
tone.
you.
tense change. We are Groot, and I am Groot. Those were his lines. Although I did see, while I try to avoid the behind the scenes specials for honestly most movies, I'd rather just enjoy the movie as is. I did see some hilarious footage of him saying the lines into a microphone with as much enthusiasm as possible and just throwing his arms wide. I'm like, you go, Toretto. But it should not have worked. But it did, and it worked hard. It probably was for the best that that wasn't how they launched the franchise, because people would have been like, that was neat, but weird. Iron Man really was the way to go. So, again, circling kind of back around, I get that probably my take is more because of how my brain operates, and I've created this expectation. And this also kind of goes into, I was telling the guys, I have not seen Guardians 3 yet, but and I've tried to avoid all spoilers, but half the news articles that come up on my feed that are about it are, this movie is exceeding expectations and is earning way more than they put into it, and is going to do very well. And the other half are why this movie, is doing fairly poorly financially. And they're not even like, I'm not clicking on the articles. They don't seem to be talking about the quality of the movie. They're literally talking about what should be the objective financial performance of the movie, and they are taking very opposite tracks. And I'm not reading them because I don't want to be spoiled on the movie. And I wonder, there's the separate issue of, hey, do I feel like I need to watch all these? But also, how high are our expectations on these movies at this point? That if they are not this transcendent thing, then they're trash, you know? Is how a lot of people have viewed it. And like, have we set ourselves up? Have they set themselves up because of the super high highs? Endgame, Iron Man, Avengers, Black Panther 1 and 2, the What If series, which, oh my god, that was amazing. Have we set ourselves up with these super high highs that anything that doesn't get up there feels bad? Because, like, Quantumania was fine, but according to the internet, it was like the spawn of Satan because it wasn't amazing. I don't know. Your guys' take on this. What do you think?
I never have understood the people who. Well, okay, there are two types of people who will claim that the any given MCU movie is failing. One of them are like the right wing hate monger dickheads who think that the Snyder DC movies are the ultimate thing. And yes, they're all right wing dickheads. I don't know why that crossover or that Venn diagram is a circle, but it is. So of course they're gonna say that just to generate clicks. You know, people like Hambly, the quartering, like that jerkwad, are like, oh, the MCU is woke, so it's not making any money, and then it makes all the money, So those are automatic ignores. Like when those people say that, it's like, okay, you're an idiot. Please jump into a hole and stay there. But then there are like the film Twitter people and the like Polygon articles. I don't know if Polygon did this or not, but that type of website who sometimes I think they've just scheduled articles ahead of time and then don't bother to change them when circumstances change, or they've built things up in their head to be, like you said, if it's not transcendent, it's crap. Like, I thought Quantumania was amazing because it was, fun and had an amazing villain. And sure, MODOK was a little silly, but MODOK's a little silly. Like,
I don't know anything about MODOK from the comics, but the minute you start to see his face, and I was like, that looks like Darren, and it turned out he was, I was like, I can get behind this, sure. And you weren't supposed to take him seriously because,
Exactly.
yeah, so
It was like, oh,
he
look
was
how
the
silly this is. I'm like, it was. That's the point. It's silly. He's
he was the mini boss that the big boss, knocks around to be like, I'm the big boss. And the fact that he tied into an earlier movie that had, and that character in that earlier movie had significance to the main character's family. Why is that not a win? But what did people
yeah,
want him to be super serious?
I
He's a
guess.
giant head.
Like, yeah, and MODOK in the comics is a giant head with in a chair. So like, how serious are you trying to get here, people?
Like
But I don't
all the
know.
serious.
Like I said, the people who want to post articles like that, like half of them you can just immediately ignore because they're jerks, like they suck and just don't listen to them. But then the other half, I think once the think tank started going, oh, are superhero movies dead? They just latched onto that as yes, and that's the narrative we're gonna push from now on, despite the fact that they keep making lots of money.
Yeah.
Like even the worst, as I've said many times, even the worst Marvel movies are fine. Like they're
Yeah.
bad compared to MCU movies, but like Thor: The Dark World was brilliant compared to 98% of the DC movies.
Yeah. Remember we did the tier list a while ago of MCU movies,
Yep.
and we had that discussion. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm also like a Marvel fanboy. Someone's like Marvel sucks. I'm like, all right, and I stop paying attention.
But see, the thing is, for most of my, I guess, culturally aware life, I would have said that I was a DC fan, and I'm still both. But I knew what did I know about Marvel? I knew the X-Men, and I was tangentially aware of Spider-Man from his animated series, but that's it. Who did I really know from movies? Batman
Batman.
and Superman. I saw the classic Superman movies. I never saw Superman 3. And I never understood why people hated 4, and I think we've talked about this before, but I was like, wow, that guy's made out of radioactive stuff. That's to, 10-year-old me, that's pretty cool. Um and then later I was like, I can see why this one's not the best. I've still never seen 3, and nothing I've ever heard about it really inspires me to see
Right?
a Superman 3. But those were the ones that I knew. And Marvel, I was like, I know X-Men, but cinema wise, nothing. Had I known Blade was Marvel, but the Blade movies were just their own thing. It's not like, Iron Man stopped by to kill some zombies.
Not yet. There's a Blade movie in
Not
the
yet.
works.
Yep, coming out I think next year.
But
But the movies, the MCU has treated its characters so much better than the attempted DCU did.
well, yeah, because they put Zack Snyder in charge, and he was trying to go all postmodern deconstructionist. Oh, look, superheroes are gods, and they don't like us. Like what? No.
And these are characters we know work because there have been all these great movies. You can tell a good story with Batman. I mean, between the Batman the animated series, which was amazing, the Batman movies with Michael Keaton, and I still defend all three, especially the first two, but I defend all three Christian Bale Batman movies. You can tell good stories with these characters.
Ooh, I
The
finally saw
commentate
the new one, the Matt Reeves Batman with
with Pattinson.
yeah, with Robert Pattinson. It was really good.
I've heard it's really good. I think I got it for Christmas last year. I have not gotten around to seeing it. I'm
Mainly
looking.
because it wasn't a Batman movie. It was a crime movie that had Batman in it, which was
I've
perfect.
heard. I've heard that one leaned a lot more into the he's the world's greatest detective thing, as opposed to most movies that are like he has a big computer so he can look stuff up and then he goes around punching people. So I've heard good things
Oh, he
about
still
that.
goes around punching people. Maybe don't watch this one with Sam, but
I will not watch it with Sam. I will watch it on my own.
but
Um,
it was really good.
but a commentator once put said this about Zack Snyder after watching, and this was before the Snyder cut was ever released, and Superman was in that edgy black costume or whatever. They said Zack Snyder man. Wow, that's a character.
Ah!
Zack Snyder really, really, really wants to make a movie about an evil Superman, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. And then I thought about the way that all these films were edited, and I'm like, that seems to really be what he wants to do, and he knows he can't quite get there because he's Superman. But do you think that's accurate?
I mean, yeah, there are so many scenes of Superman like flying above people and looking down on them, like, meh. I'm like, no.
Like how you're familiar with the YouTube channel. Well, there's a couple, but I'm trying to remember the honest previews or honest trailers.
Honest trailers,
Uh,
yeah.
the honest trailer for the Man of Steel movie, the first one with the reboot, which now they've moved away from. But there's a point in the trailer where they're talking about all this stuff that Superman goes through, and the guy and the honest the voice guy was just like, because why the hell would anyone expect to have fun in a Superman movie? And I'm like, that right there, like, even before we got into the whole Justice League stuff, it was clear that this wasn't supposed to be a fun movie. And why can't we have that, you know? It doesn't seem like it would be that much to ask.
Yeah. Like, it's like Snyder read the first couple issues of Kingdom Come and was like, yeah, Superman's had enough of this and is going to take over, and then stopped reading.
Did you hear? There was an article a while ago that had Zack Snyder stayed the course, he was considering, and this is something he actually said at a conference. This is not taking out of context. People were asking about his take on where the DC universe was going to go. He had plans to try to tie in that Zeus and Ares from the Wonder Woman movies were actually related to Kryptonians, and that's how they got their powers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. And I was like, Jesus, thank God he got away. Because
Yeah,
that's just tying stuff together for no reason.
yeah. I just I'm a fan of movies that kind of explain stuff to me because I'm a lore junkie. But there's a certain point at which you don't have to like. Why not just leave them alone? Why not just let them be the Olympian gods? You don't have to have the like twist like they were from Krypton the whole time. What?
Yeah, one
So
of the great things about comics is that superheroes and magic, well, especially like the MCU, like the Guardians introduced the cosmic side,
yeah,
and then Doctor Strange introduced the magic side, and so we can have magic and superheroes and crazy cosmic gods, and Thor introduced like gods, and
yeah,
all of that can coexist, and it's fine.
yeah. I do like there's a line in the original Thor movie where he's talking to Jane Foster. He's like, "You call it magic. For us, it's just another form of technology." And they kind of walked that back a little bit, but that was also super early in Phase One, so they wanted to be able to have. Keep in mind, they had come off of Iron Man, and I'm trying to remember if Captain America was released next, but they'd had these more grounded movies. So when you're introducing a Norse god, maybe it's better to be like magic is real, but it's not like hocus pocus sort of stuff. Keep it kind of grounded. And then in Doctor Strange, all the hocus pocus stuff, like the scene with the Ancient One sending him through the acid trip of all acid trips of planar journeys. that's not technology. I'm sorry, Thor. But um, the 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 way that they were able to introduce it kind of eased into it before you, like it builded. You mentioned Guardians introduced the cosmic scale of things, which was kind of hinted at in the Avengers movie that came out a little bit before that, when you see glimpses of the Chitari and all that, but it's not there. You don't delve into that until Guardians, and then you delve into the mystic with Doctor Strange, which allows you to do more stuff with the lore and with the Infinity Stones and all that. So it kind of weaves together really well. The MCU took its time. And one of the biggest complaints I hear about the DCU is they just wanted to have the Avengers like right away. They just wanted to get there.
Yeah, they went, okay, here's Superman movie. All right. Here's Superman Batman movie. All right, Justice League. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Y'all don't have to sprint.
No. Try to do a good Green Lantern movie. It's not impossible. It's really not.
It shouldn't be
Dude,
anyway. But like
Dude
you
has
have
a
to
magic
get
ring.
I think like Green Lantern, if it had come out like even 5 or 6 years earlier than it did, I think people would have been like, yeah, it's fine. Because that's the level comic book movies were at at
Sure.
that point. Like you remember Ghost Rider and Daredevil and
Elektra.
no, not that bad. That's
Hey,
why I
you
didn't
started
say.
this.
That's why I
You
didn't say Ghost
started
Rider
this.
2. But
Yeah.
but like there were different tiers of superhero movies. Like there was the
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and then there was the other Marvel stuff.
Yeah. Spider-Man and X-Men at the top. And then
I'll even put Blade there too because those were
Blade
damn
was
good
great.
movies.
But Blade, like, if you unless you knew it was based on a comic, or it said or if you saw the based on a comic book series, I would have had no trouble. I don't think I realized it was a comic book movie at first. So it's the quality of the top ones, but was not did not have the name recognition of X-Men, Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, sure.
Whereas Fantastic Four.
Yeah, there's another one in that beats here.
Yeah, Jessica Alba. Everybody knew that was a comic book movie, but was not of the same quality. The first Thor movie, the one with Eric Bana, and I think by
The
Ang
first
Lee,
Hulk
right?
movie, you mean?
What'd I say?
You said Thor.
For Thor. No, the first Hulk movie.
Yeah.
So,
Which was fine up until the very end when it jumped the shark so hard that it made me retroactively hate the whole movie.
yeah. It was like,
yeah,
hey,
you're not wrong.
and the whole I go back and forth. The whole telling the movie like with the comic panels was both
That was cool.
cool
Yeah.
and a bit distracting at times, but it was like it was cool, but it almost felt like checking a box of like, hey, did you know this is a comic book movie? Well, you know it's a comic because it's really comics. But it was done pretty well.
Yeah, I think it was done lovingly. I don't think that particular stylistic choice was a cynical thing.
Okay. It was funny. I remember I was working in a movie theater that summer, and within a week of each other, Hulk came out and Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, came out. And I was super excited to see Hulk, and I knew nothing about Pirates except it was based on a ride. And I thought, sure, I'll see it because I go to the theater and I work here, thus I get a discount on tickets. And Hulk didn't do it for me. And I went in like thinking this is going to be great. And I went into Pirates with no expectations. I went home and I'm like, get in the car. And they're like, my family's like, why? And I'm like, because we're going back to the movies. And like, you just came from there. I'm like, I don't care. So that was interesting timing. So yeah. Getting away from it a bit, but yeah, prior to the MCU, that was what superhero movies were, and you had the hits like Spider-Man, and you had the misses,
Like most of
like
the rest.
most of what I just mentioned, most of what you just mentioned. So the Snyderverse DCU in that time would have probably been, I would argue, closer to top tier because you're actually trying to tell a story. You're not doing a horrible job of it. It's not great, but you're trying to tie these characters together. Okay, maybe rush the Doomsday story much, like in the first act. What? But okay, yeah, yeah. The first two Superman movies killed off Zod and later Doomsday, and somehow made them the same person, and now you don't get to have them anymore. I okay.
Yeah, we're gonna kill off Superman in the second movie. That's okay. We're gonna bring him back in the
Uh-huh.
third one. I'm like, oh, this is a DC movie.
I they really
Yeah, we,
when
we
when
get
he
all those
wasn't
series.
when Superman was not resurrected at the end of the movie of the Superman movie. I'm like, why are you even what why? There's no stakes here. Everybody knows. And next is gonna be the Justice League, and they purposely kept him out of the posters. And I'm like, but Superman's in it because duh. I felt like this choice made no sense. Like who are you kidding here, you know? But I don't know. I'm not a movie producer. What do I know?
I mean, probably as much as any given, uh, well, not movie producer, but any given movie company corporate guy.
Hmm.
Possibly more.
You ever watch pitch meetings on
I know
the YouTube
the
channel?
channel, but no.
Yeah.
I think I've watched one
It's
and was like, all right, I get the joke. And
yeah, and it's basically that joke every time.
yeah,
Uh but tailored for the movie. I enjoy them. He does good work. But it's not always at the top of my list, which is not at all slamming him. I like his work, but once you've seen it, you can kind of get it. But he is good, kind of like some of those like honest trailers about pulling some stuff out that I'm like, yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Hmm.
Weirdly,
Well,
we
there was
went
other.
off on this whole tangent because I was trying to draw a similarity between how long I had to wait for a video game, like a
Mm-hmm.
Mario movie, versus how long I had to wait for a Marvel Comics movie, like universe. You remember that?
I
Yep.
do,
That's
but I,
crazy.
I kind of took it off for a bit because
I mean, we
before
all
we
did.
when we were spitballing like things to talk about before the show, I had in my head I want to talk about the Marvel thing and like how I feel, about fatigue versus homework versus all this stuff. So we've hit on a lot of the stuff that I thought might be interesting to talk about. Hey Dirk,
Yes.
what's on your mind?
Oh God.
Um, I have started playing the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster.
It's on my list. I see that it's for PS4 and both the bundle and 1 through 6 individually, and it is on my list of stuff to do. It is on there.
So where'd you
Yeah.
start, Dirk? Did you start with one?
No. Oh, well, so I have the PC one, and then I bought it for the Switch. And so I started the first one, and on the PC, and I'm up to the point where you upgrade to the next class up. Like the thief or the thief becomes the ninja, and the warrior becomes the
The Knight.
knight, and blah 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 blah,
Yeah, the
all
class
that.
change with Bahamut.
Yeah,
Um,
get the rat tail.
yeah, I got that, and then I got distracted and started playing something else. And then I played Final Fantasy IV, and I got to uh, Corneria. Or it's the right after you clear Baron Castle,
I
and
think
you take out the
Corneria's
water.
from one.
Yeah. Mist or do you
No,
mean
no,
after you get the airship?
after you get the airship.
Okay, because like Mist is like the very beginning of the game, so you're like after Baron Castle. I'm like that's where you start.
No,
But
after you clear
um,
Baron Castle of
okay,
the water elemental, of the water
so
guy. So
when you're
yes,
heading
I'm at
toward
that
the
point.
Earth, okay,
Yes. I've got Sid and all those people, and then I got distracted and started playing something else. So right now I'm on Final Fantasy VI, and I have I'm where the three stories are going independent of each other.
Ah, yeah.
I've completed Locke's part. I'm only 2 hours in. I've cleared Locke's story. I'm currently working on Terra's story, and then Savin's story is next.
I
Nice.
would always try to do locks first, or at least before Sabins, because this was this way on the SNES. I don't know if it's been changed for the Pixel remaster. You can with Locke, you can run into the proto armor around town and just run away, and then it shows up on the Velt later, and it's a very good rage for Gao at that point in the game. It can very much help you in Narsh with the whole splitting the party thing. Whereas if you don't do that section first, it's not there.
Really? Huh.
I played the hell out of. We're talking about like way before the internet. I played the hell out of some Final
Oh
Fantasy
yeah,
VI.
I had a big ass like strategy guide. I'm talking like hardback of the Da Vinci Code sized uh, player's guide for Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo
Hmm.
that I really wish I still had because I'm pretty sure some of the information in it was wrong. And I would love to track it down, but I don't have it anymore, and it makes me sad.
I had the Nintendo guide, Nintendo Power Guide to The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which was beautiful because it included all this stuff about Hyrule and the lore and all that.
Yeah,
And I lost it a long time ago. And Carrie
yeah,
was a big Zelda fan growing up, and I think she said she had it too. And we're both like, dang it.
yeah. I had that too, and sadly don't anymore.
With the green cover with sort of
Yup.
a I have mine, but it's in a rough condition
I don't think I
because
had
it's
that
that
one.
old. That
I
that
don't.
that is what 30 years old, over 30 years old at this point.
Probably.
I didn't. I didn't buy a lot of players' guides because I think my parents were like, well, "Why don't you just play the game?" So I was like, "Okay." So then eventually, some games I
I
would
think
just
that
get
was my
stuck and
first.
be like, I
That was
do
my first
own.
guide.
I own, and I can probably point to it on. Yeah, on the. I can see it in my office. The Chrono Trigger Player's Guide.
Nice.
That yes. Um, I as far I want to get the bundle. At the very I figured out the totals and like you save if you buy all of them individually, it would cost $20 more than buying the bundle, and
Yeah.
so that's
But
the
when they
cost.
all go on sale individually, or when they all go on sale, the sale price is exactly the same as buying the bundle.
So
And I'm
might as
like,
well.
son of a. Because when they went on sale the first time, I was like, ah! And I added it all up, and it was exactly the same cost as a bundle. I was like, oh, you bastards. Because I think it's
Yeah,
like a 20% savings for the bundle, and the biggest sale they've ever been on Steam anyway was 20%. And I was like,
and
I see
they
what you
didn't
did.
put the bundle on a 20% sale.
No,
not an additional one. No.
No, okay, but I intend to probably get it because in my life I have never played the actual Final Fantasy 2, like the Japanese Final Fantasy 2.
No.
I've never played it,
I
and I've
started it
heard
on the
it's.
PS1 and the Final Fantasy Origins and hated it, but it was
I'm
bad.
aware of the issues with leveling and all that sort of stuff, and I probably know enough about the story that I don't have to play it. But I mean, I've played almost all the others, so it kind of has that intrigue. Um, as far as Sam, I've had she played through 6 on the PlayStation 2, the anthology, um,
Nice.
and she started to play through 4 on the Wii, and we got distracted like Dirk did and haven't come back to it. Now I'm thinking, let her because 6 is the superior game, but 4 will
yes.
probably will always be my favorite in my heart of hearts because it was my first one. So I'm thinking, heck, if that can really be the first time she actually gets through the game, more than 2 hours into the game, the Pixel remaster would be great. I've heard before. I didn't know if it was ever coming to PlayStation because last year they released them and didn't seem to want the free money. And I know that they've reworked it, so I'm glad they took the time for it. But I have heard the OST, the soundtrack, more than once, just like putting it on because it's good.
Yeah, the new
So
music in all of those games is just
yeah,
ridiculous.
and they give you the option with the PS4 to switch back and forth, and I get the nostalgia, but
Oh,
I want to go through with the new stuff at least once. So I'm thinking if I'm going to ask her if she would like to play it, this is a very good version to do. So
yeah.
that that I'm glad you mentioned that, Dirk. That is absolutely on my radar, hundred
Yeah, I
percent.
really want to play the half of those that I've never played properly. 2, 3, 5, because two, the PS1 version is just not a good version,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Pixel remaster apparently fixes a bunch of the problems from that. And like I'm gonna play through all 6 of them at some point. But one I've played, this will be my 4th version because I played it on the NES, I played it on the PS1, and when I streamed it, I did the PSP version. So this will be I'm gonna stream the Pixel remaster too to get a feel for how the Pixel remasters feel
Yeah.
with one that I know better than all the others. Because as much as I love Final Fantasy VI, I'm pretty sure I only played it all the way through once, but I had like hundreds of hours in it. And 4 I've played, God, I don't even know how many times.
Mm.
I
But
played 4 until I got level 99 on all the characters.
buh.
That's
That that was the point in my life where I was like, this I'm gonna learn patience so I can
Eh,
do this. And I learned patience.
I think the
Uh,
furthest I ever I never got to level 99. The furthest I ever grinded in that game was till Rydia could learn Meteo, which is way higher level
yeah.
than you need to beat the game because she learns it at some stupidly high level. Um, but for all that, I probably restarted it a whole lot because I'm one of those types. I have found
She learns
people
it at
seem to
level
really
65.
that and you can probably beat the game at 40 to 50 definitely. So
Oh, wait, no.
um
In the SNES version, she learns it at level 60. Well, okay, that's a forum post, so I would go with the fandom wiki over a forum post. But either way, that's high. Like you don't have to be anywhere near that to beat the game. You're right.
don't. I've found I enjoy open world games. I like them, but I am more of a story kind of guy. And when I get to the end of the game, if there's a giant, open world, but the story is over, then I'm like, eh. That's one of the things with Final Fantasy X that I was never able to like finish filling out sphere grids or whatever because I just didn't have the patience. Because I've seen the story, and that to me, that's like finishing the book. So I get there's some extra stuff, but if it gets too tedious, I am out. So for every while I never grinded like Dirk to level 99, I probably played through the game I don't know how many times because there were scenes that I would just get to and just be like, this is great. When and certain tracks, especially back in the day when we're talking about like on the SNES when I didn't really have a way to record music. If there was a track like Galvez's theme, Clad in Darkness, that I loved, I would create a save file right before you run into him and just listen to it. So I played the heck out of that one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So now that we're on video games, that leads. I did ask the Discord, hey, what should we talk about? Anybody have any requests? And there was a request. Super Eye Patch Wolf released a video within the last week that I haven't watched yet, but it's on my watch later list called "The Cruelest Video Game." And so Chifuji was like, since you guys all play video games, how do you approach difficulty in modern games? And usually I play video games on whatever the normal difficulty is. Like That's just what I do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm streaming or not, I play on normal difficulty. If a game hooks me, then I will play it again on a harder difficulty. Like, and right now that seems to be all I'm doing. Like, I'm playing. Well, I just got done with Spider-Man. I've got 100% of the achievements on that, but the last 2 achievements were play a New Game Plus and play on ultimate difficulty, which, all right, like, that's easy. If I just don't do the open world crap, it literally took me 3 streams to get through the entire story. So that's really short for an open world game, because that's only like 12 hours. And I spent some of that screwing around, because every once in a while it's like, all right, go on patrol. And I'm like, no, give me story mission. Like, but, so I played that on ultimate difficulty, but Bill had warned me it's not actually all that much harder. And so if a game hooks me, I'll do that. Like, right now I just finished my second playthrough of the new Resident Evil 4 on hardcore difficulty, which is there are 4. There's assisted, which is easy. There's normal, which is normal. There's hardcore, which is hard. And there's professional, which is you go to hell. And I'm gonna do a professional run, multiple professional runs, because the game has hooked me so hard. I want to challenge myself. I want to get all the goodies, and I want to unlock all the things, and I want to play the hard mode, and blah, 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 blah. Like, I've got something like 5 or 6 additional playthroughs planned to get all of the achievements. Like, there's an achievement for using only pistols and knives. There's an achievement for going through the whole game without talking to the merchant. There's an achievement for going through the whole game without using a healing item. And you can do all those in one run, according to YouTube, but that sounds like torture. And there's a difference between a challenge and torturing myself. Like, to get the highest rating, which is S+, on the professional difficulty, you have to beat it in 5.5 hours with only 15 saves on a fresh file, so not New Game Plus. So you don't have, like, the infinite launcher available, for instance.
I say, so you start off with essentially the base weapons, everything. Except
the stuff you've unlocked through doing your other runs, you can use. So, like the cat ears is the reward. If you beat professional with an S+, you get the cat ears. The cat ears are an accessory that gives you infinite ammo for whatever weapon you're holding. Which, I would use that to get S+ on professional, but that's what you get for beating S+ on professional. But, like, I've unlocked the hand cannon, and its final upgrade is infinite ammo. And since once you unlock that, it's just in your storage, and you can get it out at a typewriter, at a save point at any point, you can use it in your S+ run. And if you've unlocked Ashley's armor so she can't get damaged or carried away, you can use that in your S+ run. So why wouldn't you your first time trying to get it? Like, if you're into challenge runs, then sure, go without. But I'm here to unlock all the things and have fun, not slam my head into a wall. So I'm going to unlock all those things and then try my S+ professional run. Like, I've already got the hand cannon. I'm going to get Ashley's armor and, I don't know, like the gas mask or something. Or the deer antlers or whatever. The gas mask lets you use aim assist on any difficulty. And the deer antlers make your knife do more damage, I think. Stuff like that. The primal knife is another knife that I'm going to unlock soon. Its final upgrade is infinite durability. So now your knife will never break. Hey, that sounds great for a run when I can only use pistols and knives. Hey, cool. That sort of thing, So that's me. How about you guys? I don't go for the hardest difficulty in general to start with, and I only do if I'm chasing achievements or just really, really enjoying a game.
I think I align with Chewie. When I was younger, especially when I would rent games from Blockbuster, which is a
I
thing
was a
us
young
youngins did,
warthog. Oh, sorry.
I would pretty much, if there was a way to choose difficulty, I would choose easy, straight up, every time. I didn't know if I was a good gamer, bad gamer. I just wanted the easy mode. Uh, Now, and granted, I don't play a whole lot of games anymore, but now I gravitate toward normal. And I have to be really into a game to voluntarily seek out hard mode. Last game I really played on hard mode was Final Fantasy VII Remake because I felt like I've beaten the game and I want more of a challenge to see if I can do it. So I voluntarily put myself through that. And that was a game where it felt rewarding without being super punishing. And when I would clear something that was very difficult, I felt a sense of accomplishment, not a sense of like, wow, glad that, I'm so glad I wasted 10 hours or whatever. I was starting to say, like Kingdom Hearts, most of the Kingdom Hearts, especially the remixes and various versions of it, have options to like turn off experience or keep your character at level one. And there are all sorts of challenges of, beat Kingdom Hearts 2 on level one. And I will never do that because I get
That sounds
if
like a
you want to do that,
nightmare.
if you want to do that and you want to push yourself to that point, I get that. I respect that. That is not fun to me. And before the show, we talked about like, Chewie plays the games for this reason. We play games for this reason. But I am at the point where I don't have a whole lot of free time. This is not me like, oh, poor pity me. This is an actual fact. I had to stay up a couple nights ago. I try very hard not to do a whole lot of work at home. I try to respect business hours, not just for my clients, but for my family. And I had to go hours after dinner because I just had to. And if I didn't do it, no one else would do it. So I don't have tons of time to just play games anymore. When I do, I want it to be fun. And the whole, beat Doom with your fists only, to me, that sort of mode does not sound fun. It sounds agonizing. And if you want to do it, that's fine. Um, Chewy, I saw on Twitter a little while ago you played Shredder's Revenge for the first time in a while. Um, and I enjoyed that game quite a bit, and I very much enjoyed playing it with Sam. It's definitely a multiplayer game, but I have never completed it because some of the challenges, there's a challenge on the very first level that is don't get hit in
Dude,
a
I while
beat 'em up.
I was listening through odds and ends today and playing some Shredder's Revenge because it is awful to grind through on stream, but it occupies just enough of my brain to where I can listen to odds and ends while doing something else, because I have to be doing something else to listen through the odds and ends, or else I zone out and forget that I'm listening through an odds and ends. And then
I'm
like
with
20
you.
minutes later, I go, oh, I have not heard a word that we said for the last, son of a. So like I have to find that happy medium place, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with
And
you.
I realized when I did that stream that playing Shredder's Revenge on stream by myself is miserable. But it's great for that. And I tried, God, like 8 times to get that. And I kept just getting randomly punched by a foot soldier that I thought I was out of range or something. And until I rage quit and went to a different level. So yeah.
And
Some of
that's
the
the
challenges
first
on that
level.
are a bitch.
Yeah, and like some of them are so easy. I feel like there's a great big disparity with these, and I'm like, some of these challenges, I feel like I've got it. I feel like I have done well with this game, and then something like that, and I'm like, I tried it, and I tried it, and I'm like, no, and then I try it again, I'd be like, oh, so. I feel like I'm aligned pretty well with you. I try the normal difficulty, whatever I think I can do. If it is a game I really enjoy and I think, hey, I want a little bit of extra challenge, hard is not out of the question. Not gonna do anything like crazy suicidal.
Yeah.
And then as
Now,
far as like the stupid, the like make life harder on yourself for very little reason, I'm only gonna do that for so long before I'm like, this is not fun to do anymore. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Now, you mentioned when you were a kid you would play on easy,
Yeah.
and I used to try that, but a bunch of games, because game developers back then were dicks, a bunch of games had like you put it on easy and it gives you like the first 3 levels of the game and goes, all right, that's all you get. Play on normal if you want to see more. And I was like, what?
Yeah. I
And so
remember that.
like that cured me from ever putting stuff down to easy just for the rest of my life. Uh, and games don't really do that anymore. Cuphead did. Like if you beat a boss on easy on Cuphead, you didn't get all of the boss's phases, and I don't think it counted towards actually completing the island or something like that. I don't know. I think you have to beat them on normal difficulty for it to count, which is some gatekeepy
Yeah.
nonsense that I'm
I,
not super
I
happy about.
I think Super Ghouls and Goblins was that way, where if you were not on hard, you could not unlock the final level. Not that I ever made it past the second level
You're
because,
right.
yeah,
But yeah, like especially on the Nintendo and even some of the earlier Super Nintendo games would do that crap, and it was frustrating. I was like, man, I just spent, however long playing up to here, and now I'm just done. Boo. But like, I love people who are like, oh, I'm so lame, I play on easy. No, play on whatever. It's you're playing this game for whatever reason you're playing this game for. Like, I don't care if you play on easy. Like,
yeah,
just like I don't
yeah,
care if you play on hard. Whatever gets it up for you, man. Like, I don't.
And for some of them, it's I don't want to play. I don't want to be challenged. I just want to play the story.
Yeah, I want to see what the
I
story is.
right.
Oh, what
And
was the
because that
game? There
because
was
that's
something that Oh, it was Spider Man. Spider Man has difficulty levels that are like, one, you can't die. Just play and have fun, and it's for people that want to see the story. Two was like, you can't die in combat. So, uh, combat doesn't stress you out. So if you want to see the story but still get some challenge, and then there was normal and hard or whatever. And I was like, that's awesome. I love that because it spells out, hey, if this is what you want out of this game, pick this difficulty. And I was like, that's classy. Sorry, I just jumped all over you there, Dirk,
no,
but keep going.
but no, that's there's a bunch of games like that where easy is it's not it's for those who don't know what they're doing or anything. But I mean, there is a little bit in the description, but most of the time when they say it's easy, easy mode is you just want to play the story. You're not out for a challenge. You just want to play the story,
Yeah, you want to know what happens.
and that's totally cool because there are
yeah,
some games that you're just like I just want to know what happens.
yeah.
I people have been talking about it. I just want to play this game.
And it's either play the game
And
or watch somebody else play it in a video, and there's
right,
a
and the
reason
company
why.
makes no money
And
when
well,
that when
and
that
the
happens.
true, and also there's a reason. Like I could sit down and watch a movie well, not anytime, but I have more freedom to watch a movie. If I just wanted to watch the story, that's fine. But I also kind of want to be like involved in it. And easy mode or something like that will allow me to still be an active participant in the story. You know, getting away from story for just 1 second. I don't own a Switch, so I have never actually played Mario Maker, although the idea is very, very entertaining to me because I always loved level makers, and I think I talked about this in a previous episode. We were just chatting. Like one of the first games I had on the PC was Descent, and Descent 1 and 2 combo, and it was okay, but it was the fact that you could also download something to create your own levels that I spent hours designing levels for Descent, and it really got into my creative aspect. So Mario Maker really appeals to me, even though I don't have a Switch. However, somehow even though I don't have this, I guess it kept coming up on my YouTube recommended. So I started watching a couple videos of, people's homemade videos, homemade levels. And some of those are insane. And like people have designed these levels where like from the jump, like you're put down this level and you have to grab this shell and you have to do these super complicated jumps with timing. You have to jump off of, I mean, in a Mario level, if I have to time my jumps off of enemies, I'm already kind of stressed. Like, but I can handle little bits of it. But these people that do this, they make these levels, and then people are able to somehow do them where you have to fly off of 5 bullet bills in one particular location and land in. You have an eighth of a second to land on this shell, which will give you a mushroom, which will make you big, which is good because you have to hit this thing that will make you small or you die. Like, you know what I'm talking about, are these insane things. To me, playing that level and probably testing that level does not sound like a good time. For some people, I understand it is an expression of skill, and I respect it. Will never be that guy. I'm not a speedrunner, and I've seen some of those Mario Maker levels that just make me want to puke. And I'm just like, ooh. So, not for me. Wow, it's 10:30.
It's
We've
true.
been chatting for a while.
So, I think that's a nice place to stop that conversation because I think once we get Mike back, which, will be next week, but some point in the future, I want to do a whole episode about video game difficulty. Because there's the whole, like, should Dark Souls have difficulty levels discussion and accessibility things, and just there's all kinds of nonsense that goes with that.
Because we kind of hinted at that a little bit with the whole story thing, and there's some people that feel like you are entitled, if you buy the game, to be able to experience the story, and there are other people that feel like, hey, if the developers made this to be difficult, that's the requirement. And I think that's a very interesting discussion we can spend a lot of time sinking our teeth into at a later date.
It's me sinking my teeth into things.
Nom nom nom. Like a tomato?
No. Hell no. Especially not like it was an apple.
Oh, no. Do we do final thoughts on just chatting? I'm tired.
I mean, not really, but okay. Anybody have anything else they want to throw out?
It's been, honestly, great to talk to you guys. I'm glad we took the time to do this. It's awesome. Everybody be safe. That's what I got.
You too?
Fair enough. Anything from the Zerkmeister, whatever that means?
No. I'm tired and gotta get ready for school.
Nice. Well.
Yay.
So real quick, I finished... Whoops. I hit the microphone. I finished getting the last 2 achievements for Spider-Man Remastered, which means I will be starting up Doom. Doom 2016.
I was going to say.
I played...
Yeah.
See? So I played Doom 1 a long time ago now at this point. I played Doom 2, which is the one I had on PC when I was a kid. I waited a little while, and then I played Doom 64, which was fine. And then I played Doom 3, which was fine-ish. And then I ended up playing like a whole mess of games unexpectedly. Like the Resident Evil 4 remake was coming soon, so I was like, crap, if I don't play Resident Evil 4 now, then no one will ever care again. So I ran through Resident Evil 4 again, like the original, and I still love it. It still holds up. It's still a masterpiece and a classic. If you take into account that, game and user interface design was not then where it is now. Like the fact that you have to pause and go into your inventory every time you want to change weapons. Sure, it's annoying by today's standards, but like when the game was made, that's just what you did. So like, meh. But because I was dead set against Resident Evil 4 remake. I was like, it's a perfect game. It does not need a remake. And people are like, but you can move while you shoot. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, like they said that like that was a problem in the original game, which it wasn't, by the way. And then I started seeing, more and more about it and reading some early reviews, and I was like, okay, it actually looks like they've nailed it, and it's not gonna suck. And so people in the Discord chipped in and got me Resident Evil 4, so I started playing it, and it's amazing. It is one of the best games I've played in a long time. But I was playing it and Spider-Man and Hitman and Inscription and Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, I'm not adding any more games to this pile until I finish one of them. And so I'm finally done with Spider-Man, and I'm probably not going to be done with Resident Evil 4 for a long time. Like, it's going to be my go-to. I don't know what to stream tonight. Well, I guess we're playing more RE4 because there's so many different challenge runs and things to unlock that I want to do all that. But now that I'm done with Spider-Man, I can finally get back to the Doom franchise run, so I can play Doom, and then I'm going to play Doom Eternal, and then I'll be done with that, and I'm going to start Half-Life. Finally. Because I've never played any Half-Life games, and that's ridiculous.
I have fond memories of Half-Life from college, and I wonder, honestly, how well it would hold up.
And when I say I'm going to play them all, I mean I'm going to play them all. Like Half-Life, Half-Life Blue Shift, Opposing Force. I'm not going to play Half-Life Source. That's just Half-Life remade in a different engine that's not good. But I'm going to play Half-Life 2, and then the 2 episodes, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. And then I'm going to play Alex. And I'm also going to play the remake of 1. Crap, what's it called? They did a fan-made remake of 1, but it was Valve approved. Black Mesa, there we go. So I'm going to do all of those. And when I finally get through all the Half-Lives, I'm finally going to start Halo. Because I've only ever played Halo 3, and I didn't even finish it. So this is looking into the far future, though. But, these are the plans. But starting very soon, hopefully sometime the week that this goes out for public consumption on the podcast feed and on YouTube, I'm going to start playing Doom. Because, I'm super excited. Playing Doom 2016 was the reason I started the Doom franchise run however long ago. Because I was like, I want to play Doom, but I want to know how we got to this point. So I played all the stuff before it. Because I am really good at delaying my own satisfaction. To the point where it's painful sometimes. I didn't mean for this to be about my sex life, so it's not. But you were thinking it. I could hear you.
Just a little loudly, yeah.
So yeah, I'm also going to be starting up the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters at some point. I think I'm just done streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake on hard mode because nobody was coming to the streams. So I'm probably just going to do that off stream or in daytime achievement hunting streams. Because that's the thing I'm going to start doing soon. But also, I'm planning on running through the Metroid games, at least the 2D ones. And so I'm going to be starting that soon too. So I've got lots of things in the works. And I know this has been the plan for a long time, but it got sidelined by Spider-Man and Resident Evil 4. Also, at some point, I'm going to do Miles Morales, but it's a much smaller game than the original Spider-Man Remastered, so it won't take as long. So yay! But also, we have to do, once I find the bookmark, the sponsorship shoutouts. Here it is. Jesus. So, hey, you can go to, I almost said Discord. Join the Manipool Discord, too. We have a lot of fun in there. I have channels for everything. I need to clean up a few channels. Actually, I have too many. But I'm also going to add some more. But anyway, we won't get into that. But go to patreon.com/themanipool and you can become a lifeguard and get the odds and ends, which I'm working on steadily again, and which is the behind the scenes stuff, before and after episodes. I'm almost done with the old ones that I missed, that I didn't want to listen to because of depression when we were recording them, like during like the bad parts. I can't say during the pandemic because that never actually ended. We just pretended it ended as a society because we're stupid. But like, I'm almost done getting caught up to a point where I wasn't listening through them because it was depressing. But I'm almost caught up with those, and I'm only a few behind on the current episodes too, so I'm very excited. But yeah, you can get all that, and you can get, if you want to be a Mythic lifeguard, you can get the sponsorship shout out at the end of each episode. So hey, let me thank in, I don't know, this order? Can I not sort by that? I can sort by that. So let me thank Connor Kennedy, Al, Timu Hillis Haru, Scuzzo, Beardy Man, Pinball Witch, John Parker, Andrew Odie, Jason Kaus, Casey, Jake Jansons, Mr. Dr. Lewis, Jason Doan, Andrew Hunt, Kim Ho, Cody Buckowing, and ALK Alters. Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you all so very much. And to all of you lifeguards, and all of you Twitch subscribers, and all of you listeners, or viewers, or whatever. I love you all. And chat asks, when did pronouncing Zerk's name with a Z become a thing? That sometime in college, I would say it as like an exclamation of sound. Zerk! Zerk!
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't remember why it came or how it came about. It just seemed right because Dirk has such a great name, but it doesn't work for a sound effect. Dirk! No, that sounds like something got broken. Dirk!
Yeah, it's
Dirk!
it's too harsh.
It is, yeah, but
the D is too harsh. It's kind of like the Spanish D. You gotta lighten it up, and Zerk is a good way of lightening it.
yeah, so it just happened. Zerk! Like when Dirk would come into the room carrying, or the, like where we would all be playing Magic carrying his stuff, I'd be like, Dirk! You know. So forever ago, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But all right, so this has been a Dorks Just Chatting about just a whole lot of nonsense. Good Lord, that was a weird episode. I loved it.
Great.
And yeah, so with that, we will be done. Thank you all so very much for joining us. And how do you play video games? What difficulty do you play on?